Hello, Arkansas, and welcome to this week's edition of Arkansas Money Talk, brought to you by the team of Retire Path Wealth. I'm your host, Kristen Oakley, and joining me in the studio is the president of Wealth Management, Dale Colclasure, and the co-founder, Mark Smalling. We've got a great show for you today. The title of this episode is it time for you to break up with your current financial advisor? We want to have this conversation because we know that sometimes the hardest part about moving forward is realizing that you might have outgrown where you are. And so today, Mark and Dale and I are going to break down for you things that you need to be aware of to help make sure that you're on track to reach your financial goals. And how do you know if it might be time for a change to do so? So Dale, Mark, good to be here with both of you as it is each and every week. How are you?
Excellent.
Hey,
and Kristen, I just want to start out here by saying sometimes breaking up with your existing financial advisor is actually just picking one up. I think only about half of the people probably that we talk to need to start tracking this.
Yep.
Literally just have stuff scattered everywhere. They're the total do-it-yourselfer. And now maybe they're coming to the point of realizing maybe there's more to this than I thought.
Yes, that's a good point. It might be time to break up with yourself, right?
Exactly.
There you go.
Exactly.
No.
Fire yourself.
In a good way.
In a good way,
In a
yes.
good way, yeah.
Because, and a lot of what we're sharing today is because of how this industry is set up and how your life is set up prior to retirement. It's one thing when you are working and saving and growing your wealth. That takes one skill set, but it becomes a whole new ball game once you are nearing and approaching and entering retirement. It gets a lot more complex, a lot more complicated. And so the advisor, whether that was you yourself or someone else you were working with who got you to this point, may not be the right fit to take you where you need to go.
That's right. This is one of those areas where what you don't know. And that's the reality of it is, and what you don't know can hurt you.
Yep, for sure. All right. Well, let's start with the moment of realization, because I know this happens in your offices a lot. When someone, starts to realize, I wonder if where I am really is the right fit. They come and meet with you all for a second opinion. So walk me through what typically occurs when someone starts to recognize, it might be time for a change.
Well, Kristen, it is one of those things where you almost see an aha moment while they're sitting in our conference room where they come to realization, and you see it almost in their eyes. I mean, when they go, gosh, okay, I may not be in the right place. This sounds unfamiliar to me. I haven't had these conversations before. And then it's this idea of disloyalty. That this person's gotten me to this point. I've worked with them for a long time. And people inherently don't like change anyway. They just don't. But as your retirement planning evolves and you evolve as a person, things should change and evolve with that. You don't stay the same.
Right.
Your needs don't stay the same. So as we're evolving and changing, shouldn't your planning change along with that? And then there's just different things that we need to address when we get closer to retirement, into retirement, that a lot of folks don't address. It's usually just a conversation about, how did my allocations, how did everything perform? It's not concerns about taxes and Social Security and Medicare and all these different pieces that come into it. Those conversations just haven't been had.
Right. Well, and this is why, too, we want to offer a really special resource for our viewers throughout today's show that is completely free for you to utilize. We're going to put this website for you here on the bottom of your screen. We encourage you to check it out, retirepathquiz.com. You can also get there by scanning that QR code. We call this the Retirement Reality Check Quiz. And as we go on throughout today's show, this is just a quick online interactive assessment that will really help you see where are there some potential gaps in what you're currently doing or the current financial plan or lack thereof that you might have. So please use this quiz. It's a great way to take inventory, take stock of where you might need some extra support with your financial planning. But drilling down a little more deeply, Dale, I'm curious from your perspective, what are some of the red flags that someone might be with the wrong financial advisor or the wrong professional to help them?
Well, I think people come to us in 2 or 3 different kind of conduits many times. One, maybe they've been lulled to sleep that this is just not that much. Maybe they've been with the shop on every corner, and I think everybody knows who we're talking about, who basically you get the exact same answer everywhere. I've got a client story, gentleman came in, sold a business. He was referred to one of those individual advisors, because it was a friend of his, had been using them. And so he said, okay, great, let me go talk to them. And then he went to talk to 4 other of the same advisors that were in his town, because there's one on every corner. And what he realized was he was getting the exact same advice from each one of them. They had an answer before he even told his story.
They had a solution. I say
Solution.
that in
Yes.
quotes, right?
And it's a box solution in most cases. And the reality is a lot of those people are very, very nice. I tell folks all the time, I said, vast majority of people we move money from, we'd love to have lunch with them too. I mean, they're nice people. But they also don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And that's why I think a lot of those conversations aren't happening. Then you have another set that comes in and they inherently already understand that there has to be more to this process than simply, oh gosh, we tweaked an asset allocation, maybe. Or maybe we didn't have a conversation at all. It's like, oh, how often are we going to do reviews? Folks, we're never going to review. We're going to look forward to what we need to be doing because we have a plan in place. We don't have to look back and see how things are done. The review we're going to use is history for the market to maybe make some investment decisions. But the fact is your life doesn't move backwards. It only moves forward. And so we need to have a plan in place to be able to approach that. And so they inherently understand that there's things that I have to do about making a decision with Social Security. When is the optimal time based on my lifestyle, my family setup? What are the decisions I got to make in transitioning off of either my employers or government health care onto some other options that are out there? What if I have a transition that I'm not eligible for Medicare yet? When do I have to turn these triggers on? When do I need to turn on my Part A? When do I need to turn on my Part B? When do I need to turn on my Social Security? How the heck do I do all of these things? A lot of people are in those places where it's just told, hey, that's not what we do. We got somebody we can send you to. They may not know what else is going on. And I think by going through this quiz and walking through the steps, again, folks, I hate to beat it, like a dead horse, but it's a process. When Mark and I were coming up with a name for Retire Path, we thought, hey, that makes great sense of the steps that I have to walk through this process. And we want to be there to help you to and through your retirement to make sure you stay on the path most well taken.
Right, most well taken for that individual, right? Because
Yes,
this is
ma'am.
a customized path. We're going to share a little
is.
bit more about the difference between how you operate and some of those other firms that folks are coming from.
Right.
But I'm curious, Mark, because you mentioned that a lot of people don't like change, right?
Right.
Beyond that, though, why do so many people stay with an advisor who's not serving them? Because I think as we think about this fun analogy of, is it time to break up with your financial advisor, right? Most people know, okay, I shouldn't stay in a romantic relationship where I'm not being treated well, where I'm not being communicated with. So if we follow that analogy, why do so many people stay?
Well, Kristen, it's a really good question. And a lot of it, I think, has to just do with comfort. This is a person they've been working with for a long time, and things have been going well. So they just kind of assume that they will continue to go well, even though they're not addressing a lot of things that they're hearing about. And it's one of those things when people come in, you actually hear them asking questions about things that their advisors aren't talking to them about. So they're looking these things up on their own. They're reading about these things on their own. And then, as I mentioned before, it's about loyalty. Gosh, I've been with them a long time. So, it just seems like I just should stay. And then confrontation. No one really likes confrontation in their life.
Sure, right.
So confrontation, but these are your dollars. These are your retirement savings, and shouldn't you make the most of them? And if someone's not helping you make the most of them, maybe we need to get a second opinion to see what else is available out there, to see if we can make the best use of our retirement dollars and put the most money in our own pockets instead of someone else's. So if these are questions that you're not, and topics you're not hearing from your current advisor, we would encourage you to call the number, scan the QR code. We'd love to have this conversation with you, give you a second opinion, let you know what we have here at Retire Path to offer you.
Wonderful. Mark Dale, thank you so much. I know we've got a lot more to get into on today's show, but if this is resonating with you, we encourage you to reach out to the team of Retire Path Wealth. You owe it to yourself to get a second opinion. We get second opinions for our health, for home renovations with contractors, right? I can't think of another area where we don't get a second opinion. You owe it to yourself to get that second opinion for your financial future, and the team of Retire Path Wealth would love to be able to provide that for you for no cost, no charge, and no obligation. So we encourage you to reach out and schedule your time to receive your complimentary written income plan today. 866-724-3893 is the number to call. Or if you'd rather connect online, simply scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we are going to expose some of the limitations that currently exist within the financial services industry. For those of you working with the more corporate big box firms out there, we're going to detail the difference between that and being independent right after this.
We take the planning seriously. We run all the numbers, gather all the information.
I mean, I've heard of firms calling 70% outcome, goal achievement. Hey, we're there. Well, when I went to school, a 70 was a C minus. That's not how I want to walk into retirement.
Everything we do from a planning perspective at Retire Path, we take the fiduciary responsibility, not just with the finances, but with everything, trying to put you in the best place possible for yourself. A successful retirement to me is not having worries about where dollars are coming from or about your health coverage.
Tax code's going to change. Medicare is going to change. Social Security, it's going to change, folks. You want somebody that's going to understand how those changes affect everything else as you move along. That may be great general advice, but it has nothing to do with your personal situation.
I mean, to literally see people come in the office that are scared and there's a lot of trepidation, and having them leave with that weight lifted off of their shoulders.
Let's get your data in, allow us to analyze your situation, and see if we can be a valuable partner in your financial life.
Making sure that everyone that comes in to our office leaves feeling like they've received something of value from us. Retire Path is a unique place because we built it from scratch.
Well, welcome back, Arkansas. You're watching Arkansas Money Talk, brought to you by the team of Retire Path Wealth. I'm Kristen Oakley here with both Dale and Mark, and we are so glad you're spending this time with us today. If you're just tuning in, we are having a fun and informative conversation all centered around the question of, is it time for you to break up with your current financial advisor? One of the issues is that most people have no idea how limited the advice that they are given by the larger corporate firms is compared to working with a team who's independent, such as Retire Path Wealth. So we want to pull back the curtain for you now and really expose some of those limitations. I know you guys have a lot to share about this, but how does an independent advisor such as yourselves, how does that really differ from what folks can receive from the larger corporate firms?
Well, so many times when you're dealing with one of the big box houses or somebody like that, the entire conversation is simply focused on nothing but asset allocation. Okay, folks, asset allocation is important. It's about having your assets in the right place. But so many times, even once those folks have come in, the limit of building and constructing that investment allocation was based on, are you conservative, moderate, or aggressive? And the reality is we've been in a market that has been on an exceptional run for multiple decades here. And the reality is that the market's given them most of the return of the outcome. It really doesn't have a lot to do with the selection of the investments that are there. Now, we're beginning to start to see that really matters this year, okay, because we're getting back to a lot of volatility. The other conversation is in changing investment structure to meet needs now as opposed to just growth. I mean, a lot of people simply get focused on, we can take a 4% distribution from your account, you turn on your Social Security, we'll supplement the difference. Monte Carlo says you got a 75% chance of a positive outcome. See you next year, okay? And that's really where it falls down to. Some of them come in with some really cool charts and graphs. And I think we're 100% on this one of asking people, what does this mean to you? And they go, oh no. And the reality is, I don't either, because it looks neat. Maybe it's an asset allocation model, but it doesn't really tell me anything in those models about what I'm going to do for income, how much money do I have the opportunity to do a Roth conversion so that I'm tax efficient. It doesn't tell me anything about the thresholds that I need to stay with under that are out there. We try to educate clients as well as to kind of what our anticipations are, try to warn them about pitfalls that may come in that they're going to find hopefully while walking through our process, because folks, it's always a process whenever you're working with Retire Path, as opposed to just getting passed off to another advisor who then might go, oh my gosh, did you know this? I had a case just the other day. An elderly lady come in, her husband had passed away. She loved the advisor that she used to work with, and that person just retired. Folks, we hear this all the time. Now the person that I passed down to doesn't treat me the same anymore. Why is it my financial advisor giving me advice? And as we walk through the conversation between her and her child that's there, we realize you probably have a broker and not an advisor. That's the situation you're in. Nothing against brokers, folks. If that's the route you want to go, fine. We're not the place for you, okay? But the reality is if you want to understand how to incorporate all these things together, you need to put a plan together and you need to actually work with a financial advisor that's going to take all of these considerations into place for you.
Oh, so much gold that you said there. And as you were talking, Dale, too, it just really struck me. I don't think a lot of folks realize just, again, how much of this industry is only focused on the investment management piece.
Right.
But they're not talking to you about income planning, Social Security planning, tax planning, estate planning, all these different pieces that have to be coordinated. And that's why it gets so much more complicated when you are transitioning to and through your retirement. And this is where you all really specialize in for folks. So again, if you have not yet visited this quiz, we encourage you to do so. It's a free online interactive assessment that you can access by going to retirepathquiz.com. Go ahead, take that quiz, see where there might be some potential gaps in what you're currently doing, or run it through. I mean, do you have enough confidence in your current financial advisor to do that and to see, oh, you know what, we haven't had these kinds of conversations, or they don't do this in their office. I think that really helps paint the picture of what we're talking
Kristen,
about
I hate
here.
to keep going back and reiterating things, but I think it's important at this point because you said something that just triggered a thought in my mind. Not only is it more complicated because we have all of these new things that we've never dealt with possibly coming into play at one time. But if you've always done them on their own individual silo, folks, it's even more complicated than it was if you hadn't done anything. Because you've got one person that's maybe working on insurance. You got somebody that's working on taxes. You've got somebody that's working on an estate plan, somebody's working on investments. I'm doing all of these different things, and they never talk to each other. There's no coordination.
Yes, yep.
And lack of coordination here is really the fear or the harm that may be
issue.
coming to you.
Yeah.
If you have not coordinated a written income plan in place, if you don't know where money's coming from when your paycheck stops, if you don't know which insurance plan is going to be the best option for you moving forward when you move off of the one that's the only one you've ever had an option to, if you're not exactly sure how your assets are going to pass, please reach out, give us a shot. Come on. The worst thing that can happen is you come out more educated than when you started with, but the vast majority of folks find out that the reality is they're in a position that's not going to get them where they need to go to, and that it's time for them to align with an appropriate advisor that understands of what's coming forward in their future to get them where they want to be.
So well said. And as we wrap this segment, Mark, I'd love for your take on this. What do you usually hear clients say to you after they come in and experience how you all do it differently?
Well, I think they're surprised by all the detail because we harp on this. Everyone's unique. Everyone's situation's unique. We want to get to know you as a person. What are your goals? What are your aspirations? How do you want this money to pass to your beneficiaries, whether those are children, a charity, whatever it is? You know, we want to make sure that we're addressing all the different issues that you're concerned about. So when you leave our office, you're leaving with clarity about your situation, and you actually feel better and feel like a weight's been lifted from your shoulders, and that you actually know what you're doing in your retirement.
And that's such a relief. Well, Dale, Mark, thank you. And if you're watching right now and realizing that some of the advice you've been receiving for your future is more corporate than customized, today's the day. We encourage you to reach out to receive your complimentary second opinion from the team of Retire Path Wealth in the form of your very own complimentary written income plan. 866-724-3893 is the number to call to schedule yours. Or again, you're welcome to scan that QR code and that will get you connected as well. Don't go anywhere. When we come back, we're going to explain and walk you through what that transition looks like. If you're realizing it might be time for you to break up with your current financial advisor, stay with us to find out how this transition can be smooth for you right after this.
A retirement income planner isn't just a professional resource. They are your advocate, your strategist, and your guide on a journey to a successful retirement. At Retire Path Wealth, we work with families just like yours to customize strategies based on your unique goals, your risk tolerance, and your life stage to ensure your retirement plan aligns with your aspirations. Hi, I'm Dale Callclaser, Certified Financial Planner. If you are searching for a fulfilling retirement and confidence in your financial future, give us a call and learn more about how we can help.
Welcome back to Arkansas Money Talk, where today we are addressing the question, is it time for you to break up with your current financial advisor? And if you know that it's time for you to make a change because it's in your best interest to do so, here's the good news. The breakup doesn't have to be messy. It doesn't have to be dramatic. In fact, it can be very empowering. And we're going to walk you through what that transition looks like now. But Mark, I want to go back and just kind of re-presence for folks. We were talking about the difference that people experience when they come and work with Retire Path Wealth. And I know there was a really important point that we wanted to add.
Well, we were talking about actually addressing their own situation and the flexibility that we have at Retire Path and how we've built the firm that we have is to address all these different avenues of your life. I mean, we're going to look at risk protection in retirement. If long-term care is something that's a concern of yours, we want to address that. I mean, if you've dealt with that with your parents or other family members, and that's something that's important to address, we want to make sure that if legacy is important to you, we're addressing all of those different issues too. As you mentioned before, we don't do things in a bubble. We really believe that it's a complete process, and we actually have a circle of service, which includes all of these different aspects of that.
Mm-hmm. Well, I think the other thing that's important with what Mark just mentioned about the circle is it doesn't matter where someone enters that circle with their concern, is that we've just developed the ability to be able to wrap all those in together. And again, I know this isn't the focus where we talked about today, but I know there's a lot of them out there. If you happen to be one of those financial advisors that knows this is how you should be treating your folks and you're looking for a new firm to work, hey, give us a ring too. We're always looking for great talent. Okay, as well. Sorry to get off.
Yes, no, that's
there,
great.
But it just felt too obvious.
Yeah, well, and I know a lot of folks make the change from corporate who are working
Yes, ma'am.
because they are frustrated by how they're limited and how they can really help and serve people.
You just explained the process of how we built all this.
Right.
Is that we knew there was more.
Yes.
And that didn't understand the reason why it wasn't being offered to folks.
Right, there's a better way.
And that not only that sometimes the things you are being encouraged to do at other firms is contrary to what you know is in someone's best interest. Because we get people that come in all the time and it's like, gosh, I've got $100,000 in a money market account. Why is my bank advisor trying to get me to open a line of credit?
Right, yep.
Why are they trying to, if I'm not interested in income,
Yep.
why is somebody offering me a variable annuity?
Right.
And if I've already got this taken in place, why am I being offered this product that doesn't meet my objectives?
Yep.
And so the reality is because they've already got the solution in place for you, folks. They already know what's best for everybody. Again, if you don't agree with government plans, we probably aren't going to agree with a lot of corporate plans that are out there.
Right. Well, and unfortunately, those corporate advisors are beholden to whatever that company is telling them. You need to sell X amount of this.
Right.
You need to push this product. You all are independent, which means you're able to look at each person's situation. The world's your oyster. You can use all the tools out there. You have everything at your fingertips to do what's best for each individual.
There's certain firms where people will walk in and say, oh, I'm at XYZ. Do you, I need my detailed statement. And it's like, I do, but unfortunately I really don't. Because everybody pretty much holds the same thing. The saddest case is one that just came in the last week. I've got a gentleman, we work with the rest of the family. He comes in and he's like, hey, I called the guy on TV. Okay, we all know who he's talking about here. He's on TV all the time. Talks about how they do things differently. Well, apparently what they do different is they can't even talk to you until you have access to all of your money. They won't give you any advice until they already have transferred all of your money to them. And he's like, why do they run things this way? And I said, well, first of all, I don't have any idea. You're gonna hear a lot sometimes. Because it makes no sense. The idea that they may act as a fiduciary, but only as a fiduciary after they have total control of everything, as opposed to showing you the value that they can bring. Folks, if somebody's not willing to show you the opportunity they're willing to offer you, and then the proof and the fiduciary is them backing it up, you're probably in the wrong place.
For sure. Well, Mark, walk our viewers through what this transition looks like. Somebody comes and meets with you to get that second opinion. They decide, okay, what you all are able to do for me, this is what I would like to have happen. Explain that transition, because we've addressed that people feel scared of change, or maybe they're nervous about all this paperwork. So how do you help them navigate that?
Right. So, so Kristen, people are afraid of this disruption if they move from one firm to the other. I mean, we're going to handle all of the setting up accounts and the paperwork and transferring all of that. We're going to handle all of that for you. And then, people, as we mentioned before, they're concerned about upsetting their current advisor. That's an issue. People ask us all the time. In a lot of cases, people want to talk to their current advisor, which that's fine if you feel like you need to. But in a lot of situations, you don't have to if you haven't had a great relationship with them, and we can transfer the money, and you don't have to speak to your current advisor in most situations. And that's, but we're going to handle all of that for you.
Yeah, all transfers occur through the back office. The ACAT system is pretty simple. We are experts in the idea of being able to figure out how to transfer money from certain places. There's some retirement plans that are very difficult to get funds from. We've worked with all of them. Got another client today. Hey, you know who you are out there. Just give it up the thing and let us take care of it for you. But the reality is that making a change for your betterment might be a difficult first step, but I can tell you there is so much value in the journey that is to come by being in the appropriate place for somebody that's looking out for your best interest in all considerations. So basically it's providing a little legal document called a driver's license and some personal information, and we can literally handle the rest.
Yes, and I love that you're able to take care of folks. You are, as fiduciaries, you have that legal and ethical obligation to always serve the client's best interest. And I know you're looking forward to serving more folks here in the great state of Arkansas. So Dale, Mark, thank you both so much, and thank you for watching. 866-724-3893 is the number to call to schedule your time to receive your very own complimentary written income plan. We love you, Arkansas. Thanks so much for watching, and we'll see you next time here on Arkansas Money Talk.